who wishes to, any parent who wishes to lead us in a word of prayer, kindly raise up your hand and you lead us. Any parent who wants to lead us in a word of prayer? Okay. Anne,
And sorry, and
yes,
is it
Anne, we can hear you.
is it Anne Kasibante or another Anne?
Anne Kasibanti.
Okay, let's pray. Lord, we thank you this morning. Thank you, Lord, that we can come together in this form of performance. And Lord, as we gather here, may your spirit lead us. We thank you for the work of the management of Green Hill Academy and the work they are doing to our children. We pray that, Lord, you bring us together in this session so that we can know you more. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Mrs. Anne Kasibante, for the word of prayer. Dear friends, we are here for our session, and our theme or our topic is building character, a parent's guide to teaching values at home. But as we start this session, you may need to know what was the origin for this. Many of the things that really happen at home or what we see at schools, mainly it is a reflection of what really takes place at home. So for us, or what teachers see at our different schools, most times it is because of what children do at home. So they just reflect the true picture of what really happens at home. So we thought that if we can share as parents, then we can have a lot to change in our different communities where we stay. Remember that what children see is what they do. And therefore, when we talk about character, it is something that I want to just throw some little thing that character, we understand it as that commitment to a set of values without compromising them. Someone who has character has some kind of principles that he or she will follow, that even if it means leaving out something, let me say leaving out your friend, it means that you can leave your friend, but because of your principles. Someone who has character is that person whereby the words, the deeds, and the action, all of them are aligned. That a person without character will say one thing, he does the other, and then he promises something different. Like when you come to school as a parent, does what you say at school the same message you pass on at home? Or you can come at school, you say, please read, 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 let us do this and this. But when you go back at home, you do totally something different that even you don't mind about your child's education. So now that's what we want to talk about, that what is that character that we can build basing on the values that we are setting at home. So when you build a strong character for your children, you'll find out that your child doesn't need a police. So a person who has character does not need a police to police them, but they instead police themselves. So children who have character right from their homes, you'll find them that they are self-driven. They do things that even when the parent is not around, they have no challenge, but they just do the right thing. But someone who doesn't have a character, even when they only do things when their parents are around, but when their parents are away, they don't mind. But when they see the parent, then they know, I have to do this. Or if you have noticed that maybe your child, when he's at home, that if you are around, the child tries to do the right thing. In your absence, the child does something different. So that is one of the signs that probably your child lacks the character that can take him from one point to another. So in today's discussion, we are going to be talking about character. We are going to be talking about the values that we can instill in our children, values that we can have at our homes, such that we can be able to raise good citizens that are going to be very valuable for this country. So that is something brief as we dive big into this session. Allow me now to welcome our facilitator, Mrs. Pamela, to take us through the discussion. Mrs. Pamela, you're most welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Kaziba. Am I audible enough?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a delight for me to present to you this morning. My name, as mentioned, I'm a life skills mentor, a parenting coach, and an educator. Today, I would like us to dive into our session on values. How do we build values? How do we pass them on to our children? Mr. Kaziba, without wasting any more time, let's dive into it. Kindly give me the first slide. I would like you to reflect on, let's think about ourselves as parents. Let's start by looking inward before we look outward. And that's going to form the foundation of our discussion today. What are those two things you carry from your parents' influence as a child and continue to serve as your moral compass? Do I have any volunteers who are willing to share in 1 minute? Who is willing to share in 1 minute? Tell us one or two things that you carry from your parents' influence growing up. You can kindly unmute your mic and share with us in 1 minute if you don't mind.
Okay. Let me first stop the sharing such that I can allow them, those who want to share.
Okay.
Yes, those who want to share, kindly unmute and you go on and share.
Good morning.
Good
Hello.
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, my name is Hadija Nabwire. I wanted to share what I learned from my parents is being kind. Growing up, we grew up with so many people at home. My mother used to bring even people from the streets, and we stay with them. She used to raise them. She was really kind, and I carried that from her. May her soul rest in eternal peace. Although when I grew up, I later learned that it starts from within. You cannot give what you do not have. So she had love within herself, and she managed to give love to us, her children, but also to everyone else. And I must say that I grew up thinking that she was my biological mother, but I only learned at her death that she wasn't my biological mother, that she was my stepmother. And I really applaud her for that. I wanted to share that. And
Thank you so much. That's fantastic. Thank
it
you.
is the same trait that I'm carrying on, as a day.
Wow, that's great. Thank you for sharing. Can we have one more volunteer, please?
Discipline.
Yes, please.
As growing up, yes, my mom used to say that discipline comes from home and the fear of the Lord. And every morning before we could do anything, my daddy could come out from bed and start praying so that everybody could wake up. So growing up, we are taught to love God and to be disciplined as well.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. That's wonderful. I like the fact that you acknowledge that it's from within. That's good. Thank you so much. Now we are on track. Mr. Kaziba, give us the next slide, please. I love your experiences. I'm sure everybody has something to share. Now, I would like to use the analogy of a foundation. It takes it doesn't take hours to build a foundation. It takes days and weeks to build a foundation. Everything has a foundation. And the firmer you want your house to be, the heavier the foundation is built. Now, we as parents, as individuals, what is our foundation? I like the stories that have been shared. It came from somewhere. It came from the parents. The parents' love, the parents' sense of discipline, loving God that was passed on to them came from somewhere. And that is brilliant. So when we were going to look at those foundational things in our lives, what could have contributed to forming the foundations for our value systems today as individuals? What happened to us? Next slide, please.
Mm.
How do we define values? According to the Oxford Dictionary, it is a set of ethical beliefs and preferences that determine our sense of right and wrong, or the beliefs people have, especially about what is right and wrong, and what is most important in life that control behavior. When we look at it from the family perspective, family values are the beliefs and principles that guide a family's behavior and decision-making. These values shape the way children learn to interact with others and the world around them, and they can have a lasting impact on their lives. So let's see the key words from the values. Next slide, please. We know that values give a moral compass. Everybody has a moral compass. They guide your decision making. They show what is important to your family. And I like this quote by John Maxwell that your core values are the deeply held beliefs that authentically describe your soul. What describes your soul? Next slide, please. Now, we'll start at the family level. There is that proverb that a foolish son brings grief to his father and bitterness to the mother who bore him. When we look at family, I would like us to think about what kind of family settings did we grow up in. Some were raised by single parents, others you had both parents, and for others, maybe other people grew up in orphanages, homes, and probably some of you were raised by extended family, but you turned out right in one way or another. But again, we can't ignore the kind of environment it was. So were you surrounded by love, like somebody shared? Was it an environment of survival for the fittest? Was it an environment where you felt marginalized in one way or another? Were you treated unfairly? Did you have freedom of speech, or did you have a voice at all? In the days in which we grew up, you couldn't think of asking your parent the why question. How dare you question something they have told you, a decision they have made? You had no room to question. You know, all these things form, you feel a certain way as you grow up, and these things are reflected in the future. You realize that probably you're fighting for recognition, or you're one of those people who pushes and pushes, or you're very loving. And then others, maybe the parents didn't care. It was a free, laissez-faire environment. Whichever way it was, the values were passed on from your parents. And those things, the things that happened around you actually affected you in one way or another. You find that probably it was hard work. Like our friends in Japan, their families encourage hard work. So children grow up with that, I have to work hard, I have to work hard. And why are they dying of stress? Because that is what is imparted right from childhood. But how has it affected you? Think reflectively about yourself as an individual. How did your family setting affect who you are today? And what good things do you carry from your family? We need to focus on the good rather than on the bad. We work through the bad experiences that happen to us. Okay, are we together? If you can give me a thumbs up. Another contributing factor to our value systems is the education. Where did you go to school? The school environment. What kind of teachers did you have? I remember in my O-level, I went to a Catholic school and they were very strict, very strict. We had one teacher I'll never forget. If he asked you to slash somewhere, a certain portion of the compound, he wanted it carpet level. It was not this business of just to rush through. And so the value of excellence was instilled in school. And then also the kind of people, the peers you're surrounded with in your school environment, is it an environment of academics all the time, or you have some co-curricular where, you're encouraged to explore your talents? So whichever school you went to, you picked something from there. Others, it made you better. And for others, you learned lessons that inform where you want to take your children to school today. And the schools vary. Every school has its own culture. So how did the culture of that school where you attend affect you today? Did it make you better, the exposure you got, or the exposure you didn't get? There are some pictures here of schools. So you determine. Also, the finances determined where you went to school. There are parents who sacrifice to make sure that you get the best education. And then there are others, they did want to, but they were not able to. And it doesn't matter, what you are today. Your background doesn't necessarily define your future. Next slide, please. We have the peer influence. We were all influenced differently. We shall acknowledge that we went through teenagehood, young adulthood, and we had all sorts. We explored different things, but depending on what your associations were. Some were party animals. I was amused recently when I attended a school reunion and our friends, our OBs were narrating stories of how they paid their parents' school fees. And one actually told us that he did not study for the entire 2 years in HSC. And it did affect him, by the way, in the future. It affected him grossly, he acknowledged. And then there were others who went into drunkenness. Others were promiscuous, and then others spiritual. A group of boys who were really spiritual, they actually missed because they had that group of their peer influence of, for us, we are very prayerful. Now, during exam time, they were in the bushes praying. So how did that peer influence affect you? And what experiences do you carry from there? Did you learn from the experiences that what things did you learn that informed your decision-making today? And what actually dictates what you're going through? I mean, what you're passing on to your children. Because you'll find another parent that probably, maybe they had gone out partying and one of the friends probably died in an accident. So now you're very touchy about your children coming home late. You have curfew, strict curfew. The way you handle them comes from somewhere. Then we also look at the cultural and society context. This is very interesting because different cultures have different values, and we appreciate the good side of culture in imparting respect, moral values. What are the cultural expectations? For example, when we think about dress code, we know that when you're going to church, for example, or you're visiting that grandparent, you dress a certain way. You're not going to put on a mini skirt when you're going to visit, say, your elderly, your grandparents. You're not going to go to your uncle's dressed a certain way. You want to look presentable. Where does that come from? The cultural values that were instilled. What did society allow? Did it allow for you to, just roam on the village from morning to evening? All these things inform our value systems today. And then the personal experiences. People have gone through different experiences in life right from childhood. Some were treated harshly. Others, it was a loving environment. And for some, it was normal. It was balanced. Some come from well-balanced families, and others have all sorts of experiences. But the important thing is what we learned from this, because you're not going to carry the trauma for the rest of your life. There are things we need to work through. There are experiences. Now there is help. We can seek help. We can't cling to the pain that we went through. We need to work through these things, and those are lessons that we learn. You can't keep throwing it in front of your children. For us, we used to walk to school. You see, I suffered very much. Get over it and move forward, because unconsciously you're going to start projecting some of those things onto your children. If it was an atmosphere of violence, it's going to come out. If certain behaviors were normalized, say drunkenness, it's going to come out. And you won't see a problem with it. Why? Because of the environment. When we go to, I request Anne Casivante to kindly turn off her video. Anne Casivante, kindly turn off your video. When we move on to religion and spirituality, I like what somebody shared earlier, that their father instilled spirituality right from a young age, and it does pay off, because you realize that the fear of God, like the Bible says, is the beginning of wisdom. Now, certain things, some of us survived certain things. Why? Because we had that at the back of our minds. The naughty things you would have done without your parent knowing. There are things we did as children growing up that our parents never know and never knew and will probably never get to know. And when you tell them, they would be surprised. But there was the fear of God that lingered on. And the values, the things that you taught through religion. I like it when there's a Muslim parent who was in an office one time, and his son was sitting a certain way. And he told him, Muslim men don't sit like that. And the boy organized himself. So it is those aspects of the religious values that help us to form values. How you appreciate it is up to you. Whichever religion you are is up to you. But if you instill it in your children early, you will not suffer some of the things during adolescence or young adulthood. And even though your children go off tangent, at a certain point T, you are sure that God will take care of them. They will come back, of course. Next point would be on media and technology. In the 1980s, 90s, the technological explosion was not as much as it is today. But now that we have it, how addicted or how unaddicted are we to the technology around us? Of course, the media industry is working day and night to make sure that they keep us busy. But now, with all that is around us, you need to define your busy. What is your busy in regard to the phone? Are you working? If you're watching something, is it something that adds value to you? The TV series that we watch, do we take time? Yes, entertainment is good. Have times for entertainment. We need the relaxation. But out of, say, your 5 hours a week or 10 of watching TV or being on your phone, out of those 10 hours, which would you set aside and say, these were my productive hours on social media? These are questions we need to ask ourselves, because the way we behave with technology is going to project onto our children. It will be projected onto our children. If you're going to worry about them being on gadgets for long hours, you start by modeling good behavior. Put your phone aside. Turn off the TV. We have children who wake up to TV early morning. they'll have breakfast while watching TV or on their phone or tab. Lunch, they will be asked to, lunch will find them actually in their sofas, sitting, watching TV. You know, they will spend hours before bathing because they're watching TV or they're on their gadgets. But where does that come from? You as a parent, it begins with you. Set the standard. And then it will be easy for the rules to fall in place. And then, of course, we have the genetics and the personality. We are all different temperamentally, and our cognitive abilities are different. But how we merge that, remember how did when the way we were raised, how did it affect our temperaments, the way we perceived things, we processed things? Because probably from all the above things that I've talked about, maybe your environment made you more reserved, caused you to be more reserved, or it brought out the best in you, and now you're one of those the happy sanguines that we have around. Or you realize that actually you pay attention to detail. You're one of those people. Or are you this kind of person who peels the onion? You want, yeah, you paying attention to detail. You peel the onion, you want to understand, why did somebody say this? Why did they do this? Even if it's nothing sometimes. Or you are one of those laid back people. Everything goes. And that is affecting your parenting. So in what way do you identify with some of the points, the contributing factors that form our value systems as parents? At this point in time, I would like for us to pause and watch a short video clip. Mr. Kazwa, please play that video clip. Thank you for that video. What kind of child are you raising? That's the difficult question to answer. It's not actually difficult, just reflect on it. What is your parenting style and what are you achieving through your children? We are going to move on to ways in which we teach values. I listed a few. There are many different ways. Everybody has their own parenting style. Number one is the way we keep our homes. Organization and planning are key things for us to model as parents. Teaching values is more of, it's less of talking. Yes, you do the talk, but children learn more when you do. There's that saying that, teach me to fish, give me a fish, and I'll have food for one day. Teach me to fish, and I'll have food for a lifetime. So what are you doing for your child? And one of the things, number one bullet, is teaching them to be organized, and which goes hand in hand with planning. Now, the organization runs straight from how early, when they wake up early in the morning, what are some of the first things they do? If we take an example of the military, it is important. It is a basic discipline for one to lay their beds. And laying their beds is not just covering the blanket on the mattress. It is laying it straight. I like especially the US Marines. They do that. It is fantastic. You know, the basic discipline of following instructions. It creates, being organized teaches you to manage time. You learn time management. How many times have you had a meeting and someone arrives 1 hour late or 30 minutes? 30 minutes probably, yes. But why do we as Ugandans carry this tag of, oh, Africans actually. Africans don't keep time. There is Muzungu time and African time. But But when you're organized and you pass that on, many times we tell our children, when you're leaving the house, you say, for example, we are going to leave the house at 10 a.m. And then they'll wake up and get ready. But then by 10, when you're supposed to be going out, maybe mom is still around, she's organizing, calling this one and that one. And then you end up leaving the house an hour later. And without realizing, you're creating a culture, you're sending a silent message, and which is going to be passed on. They'll practice the same. We are your managers. Some of you are managers, you're business people. What kind of employee do you want? And what kind of employee are you grooming in your child by not teaching them the basic value, basic principle of timekeeping? Having a routine. It's important to have a routine in the home. When your children wake up, what is their day going to look like? Have that in order. Now children are on holiday. What is the routine? Are they going to sit and watch TV the whole day, or are they going to roam around, go to town? These days they hang at, is it Acacia Mall? Those who are not in town, you wherever in the different districts, are your children roaming the villages? Are they going to the local cinemas? How are they spending their time? It's a crucial time for you to start teaching work, a good work ethic. Pass it on. If you're a farmer, take them to the garden with you. You're an office person. Let them go to the office. Let them be the office messenger around your office. And as they are dealing with people, they are learning how to handle people, how to handle different situations. You have a shop, whatever trade that you do, involve your children so that they appreciate the value of money. They appreciate the value. They will realize that, oh, okay, I need to wake up early on time, or they learn how the world operates, not that small bubble that is being created. And then they learn to prioritize, because part of organization is learning to prioritize what comes first, what is more important. These are skills that are not going to be taught in school. Okay, yes, schools have routines, but it has to be transferred home. It has to come from somewhere to be reinforced. Actually, the word is reinforcement. If it's not reinforced, yes, the child will learn something from home, from school, but the reinforcement at home, if it's not there, then what culture are you creating? Stewardship. When we look at stewardship, how are you teaching children to take care of things? If you're living in your, say for maybe you've built your home, or some have rented houses. Do you allow those children to write on the walls, those who have younger ones? How do you use the facilities, say the bathroom facilities? Some have broken toilet handles, you have broken locks, and you're not fixing them. What value of stewardship are you instilling in your children? These are things to think about. Remember, monkey see, monkey do. If you don't care, they will also not care. You need to set a standard as a parent. Hygiene. What is the relationship of water and your child? What relationship does your child have with water? Do you take the trouble to check whether your children have had a bath? We know that between 8 and 9, they have a tendency of just washing their hands, feet, and they come and tell you they have had a bath. And if you don't check, it will pass. Before you know it, you have this teenager who has grown up. They don't like to bathe. And at that time, it's difficult to correct the mistake. That's how we end up with young adults who have terrible stenches. Actually, even adults, for some, it grows into adulthood. Now think about what you're passing on at home. There's this quote by Ann Landers: "It is not what you do for your children, but what you have taught them to do for themselves that will make them successful human beings." Teach them. You're building empires for your children, but what are those foundational work ethics that you have that you have taught them. If your child sees you waking up early in the morning, are you leaving them is it okay for them to sleep up to midday? It's okay, holiday time, yes. But is it going to be a lifestyle for them to sleep through? Because I can't imagine a 17-year-old in bed at midday, especially a boy. Recently, I listened to a story of an 18-year-old boy who does not know how to take care of himself. He blames waking up late for school on his mother, and he calls the mother that chick. He can't make a quick breakfast so he can be in time for school. So his lateness is blamed on the mother. So you wonder, whose daughter is he going to marry? As parents, we need to realize that we are stewarding our children. We are preparing children to be somebody's wife or to be a boss somewhere, to be somebody's husband. But what are you going to carry? What are you preparing? What are you going to give to somebody? And if you look at it the other, would you like your daughter to have a husband who doesn't lift a finger to help at all? Because there are those seasons. Yes, we do have technology, but if he cannot even lift a finger to boil some water to make a cup of tea, then that is a problem. Just the basic things. People living abroad know how it rolls. You do the work yourselves. But us in Africa here, how are we helping our children? How are we helping our children? Let these things begin early. Don't start struggling with your 21-year-old to teach them what you did not do much earlier. But there is room for improvement. Now that we are getting the knowledge, let's start the work. Next point is having family meetings or individual sessions. Now, these are important to promote good communication because with our world today, a lot is going on in our children's lives, and we need to catch up somehow, however busy you are. I like it when parents, I like it when parents tell me, I've had parents say that they take leave when children are on holiday. They take leave to spend some time with their children. That is really good. Keep it up for those that are doing it. And those that are saying busy, 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 the busy will pray for them when they have to go to rehab as young adults or as adults. We need to evaluate. We need to evaluate our lives, parents. Go back and do some homework. Do some soul searching. Having those family meetings or individual sessions, you create room for that sense of belonging, the identity. Your children will be able to open up to you. It is important. Leave the door open for discussion with your children, so that they don't look at you as, this tough father or tough mother, because life is not like that. Bad days and there are good days. Share with them. Be vulnerable with your children. Tell them this is why they say don't come home late. Have curfew. They need that. It will help them to appreciate the why, and they will understand why you do certain things, why you have said no, or why you say yes to certain things. Open the doors for communication. If you don't know how, start by listening. And communication is not about you. Sometimes we think that, oh yes, I've talked to my child. The talk was you talk, and the child sit down and listen. So that is not communication. It is two-way. They talk and you listen. And sometimes they're going to come to you. They do not want you to give advice. be discerning as parents. Sometimes they just want you to listen. Your teenage boy or girl just wants you to listen, especially those times when they know they have messed up. They know what you taught them when they were growing up. They know what your expectations are. But when they've messed up, we all fall short. We are not perfect. Sometimes, as a parent, set the anger aside and support your child. I want you to ask yourself, are you in your child's inner circle? If your child had a problem, would you be among the first people they call? Or at least they call, are they able to call an auntie to make sure that you get to know what's going on in their lives? Or they'll deal with whatever it is without your knowledge? These are things for us to think about as parents. Next slide, Mr. Kaziba. The ways in which we handle conflict. The ways in which we handle conflict signals a sense of trust and resilience and a desire to calmly and respectfully engage. It can signal your value to be right and in charge, or your method of discipline. Do you listen? Discipline is an interesting one, but we'll stick to how we handle conflict. There are times, of course, as parents, when you blow the top. I listened to, there's a parent who was sharing some time back, and he said when he was growing up, his father used to beat him every single day, to the extent that he anticipated that I'm going to be beaten. So he collected the sticks of the cane, and made a pile. So one day, his father came across that pile, because previously he would send him, go and bring a stick, and he would bring it easily. But as the father was walking around the house, he found a pile of canes ready for him to use. And he realized that, oh, so this boy is used to the canes, okay, to the beating. And from that day, he stopped beating. He started trying to listen. And that marked the beginning of a turnaround. Obviously, we acknowledge that our children are different, so deal with them with wisdom. Understand their temperaments. There's a child you'll tell to sit in a corner, and it's okay, they will sit. Go and do, and they will do. But there's that one that needs reminding, and you deal with them with a lot of patience. But even how we handle conflict, what behavior are we mirroring as adults? Because children will tell you stories like, oh, mommy stands this side and daddy stands that side, and they start exchanging those brutal words. We know the harsh words we use. Or some will tell you that, you know what? It was a boxing ring. It is sad, but these things affect the children. And what are we teaching them? What message? So we as adults need to do the work. We know how certain things affected us as we were growing up. The conflict in our homes, of course, there is no perfection, I repeat. But let's do our best, because you're going to create an angry child who is going to be an abusive husband. They are advocates for, and people are advocating against domestic violence. There've been terrible experiences as a result of domestic violence. So teach your children to resolve conflict sensibly. How do you resolve conflict as a family? There are times for using the rod, there are times for discussion, and there are times for consequences. Take away the gadget for a week, take it away for a month, whatever it is, and mean what you say. Mean what you say. because they know the right buttons to press. Moving on to choices on family activities. Worshipping God, visiting relatives, school visitations, hosting parties, family holidays or vacations, encouraging togetherness during happy and sad times. These are all different ways of creating a value system. And give children the opportunity to choose if it's, say, Easter time. Are we spending Easter at home or we are visiting family? And that sense of togetherness, create that togetherness with relatives, because in our world today, we are getting more and more detached from each other. You speak to somebody on the phone and you assume that you know what's going on in their lives, but it's not enough. The physical, being there physically, is still as important. So these are things that we need to work on deliberately, intentionally. We need to start the journey of intentional parenting. Next slide, please. Our short and long-term expectations. Now, I would like to use the analogy of a football coach. When the football coach is watching his team play, he does not go to he can't join the pitch to play, but he's on the sidelines cheering them on, giving them strategy during halftime. He trained them, but now when the actual match is happening, he can't go on the pitch to play. What does that teach us as parents? Let us be coaches. Grow with your child. You have seen this child right from when they were little, they were babies. You go through the toddler stages. You train them right from when they are young. You see them suck their thumbs. They graduate to now they are able to hold the cup on their own. They graduate to walking. They graduate to running. Then you start the school journey. And finally, you have a teenager. This teenager from 13, they are snapping out of, oh, okay, I was a child, now I'm not a child, I'm changing. You know, all the physical body changes, and it's a time for them to discover their identity. They are trying to separate I was a child, now I'm entering another stage of life. That part of growth is very delicate. Now, how are you as a parent supporting them? That is when you as a coach come in. When you're disciplining a teenage boy, the way you discipline a teenage boy is not the way you're going to handle the girl. With your daughter, it might be easy at a certain point till when temperatures have come down for you to sit and talk through, and it will be okay. You'll make up easily. But your teenage boy, shout at him 1, 2, 3 times, and he'll shut down. He'll switch off. Switch off in terms of you'll not get much of his attention. His ears will begin to close. And you don't want that because you don't know what they are cooking behind the door. So how we handle these stages, let's allow ourselves to grow with our children. The young adults need your mentorship. Again, I'll ask you, are you in your child's inner circle? We need to walk the journey with our children all the time. They will not tell you everything, but they need to know that whatever it is, there's unconditional love at home. I can go to my father, I can go to my mother. If they're not able to tell you certain things, at least there's another adult, another significant adult in whom they can confide. And they know that the message will be handled carefully. Set expectations of your child, of your children, in regard to schoolwork, in regard to living at home. Those 17-year-olds by 17, 18, prepare your children for life. Don't let that 17-year-old sit at home the whole day. And then when they finally graduate out of campus, you're the parent is the one finding a job for them. Let them go and find it themselves. Let them walk the streets and appreciate what it means to look for a job. If it's a business, let them go down there and hustle. We're in a competitive world. AI is competing with us, the humans. Technology, we can't run away from it. Technology is chasing us. It's taking us really fast. Now, how are you preparing your children to fit into this competitive world? Have boundaries. Teach your children the boundaries which begin at home. How do they talk to you as a parent? That is what they are going to carry. If they disrespect you or you let them disrespect other people, that is what is going to be reflected. And who do they think about first? Who is the mother? Who is the father? So these are things that we prepare children for. We didn't receive, for some people, we didn't receive a good financial foundation, but we are not going to weigh it on our parents. Hey, you didn't teach us about finances, you didn't. No, too bad. Figure it out as an adult. But at least you're lucky to have the knowledge. Do it now when you still can. Last but not least is how we show love and affection. Let's be loving to our children. It's one thing to say, oh, I love you. And, the physical touch is good. Is good. We are all human. We are human. And children like to feel that, oh, my father or mother loves me, or my auntie loves me, my uncle loves me. That blanket, if you find them sleeping on the couch, carry a blanket or bedsheet, whatever it is, and cover them so that they feel the warmth. That is what they are going to pass on to other people. That's what they are going to give to the world. And of course, we have to be careful. We tell them about the dangers. Not everybody is as good in the world. But these are all skills that we learn at home. They are learning from us as children. I hope we are learning something. At this point, I have a video for you. Please watch as we plan to land this plane. Thank you so much. Mr. Kasba, kindly give us that last slide, second last slide. A summary of the values. The list is long, according to your family, according to you as an individual. Respect, faithfulness, responsibility, character, generosity, love and compassion, integrity, hard work, attitude. And the very last one that I'm leaving you with as we wind this up. Next slide, please. If you don't stick to your values when you are being tested, they are not values, they are hobbies. By John Stewart. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate. Okay, over to you, Mr. Kaziba, in case you have any questions or additions.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Pamela, for the wonderful presentation, for all the insights, and thank you so much for sharing. Dear parents, I know you have now some things that have triggered your minds, and you may have some questions you want to pose over to Mrs. Pamela, but also you may have some sharing that you want to share with the parents that are on the call. You can raise up your hand and then you make your submission. Okay, let me start with Professor Emmanuel.
Yeah, I just said that, and I just appreciate and recognize the princess of my fellow parents, those ones who have been taking their the listening. It has been a page to us because for me as a person, it has framed me a lot. So that we should be also encouraging to our children, to our fellow parents, to be the same, because we should be where are we going and where are we coming from. So we should be have a motivation, because in motivation and ambition, it is not that ambition and motivation we just get it from like the things around our environment, but motivation and ambition we also get from other resources. So it has been very a good message to us, and it has also framed me, and I have learned some lesson from it. So thank you. That is mine.
Thank you.
Yes. Mrs. Zarima.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm grateful because I'm able to share some of the things I've gone through, mostly with the boy child. I have 6 children. The first 2 were more like an experiment because we are all learning. But the way I treated them, I thought, from the old system that boys don't do a lot of housework when they grow up. So I didn't take as much effort to teach them to do the housework. So they are adults. They grew up into lazy adults. Yes, I'm still struggling with them to be clean and the rest. But with the younger boys, I learned that I'm going to teach them the same as the girls, teach them how to cook, teach them how to clean up. So for parents, let us not, some things are old fashioned, that the boys don't do work and what, because currently the situation in the world is that they all have to do something. And by the way, when they learn how to do the housework, they become hardworking individuals out there. So this is just a sharing of what I'm going through, and I hope it helps another parent with the way they are dealing with their kids. Housework is key. It just makes them better people wherever they will go. And we shouldn't fear to make them do these things. Maybe it's too hard for them. They have energy. You measure for them what you feel can be done for them, but they can do it. They can do it. And when they are given the responsibility, they become better adults. So thank you, Madam Pamela, and the rest of the team. We are grateful for this time with our kids, and it's a great impact on them. I'm grateful.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Zarima. Yes, Mrs. Sarah.
Hello. Good morning, all the parents and everyone on this forum. Yeah, I have a problem. I have 2 sons. One is done with his degree in law, and another one is 14, senior 2. But I've grown up with my son, me, when you're not staying with the dad, but the dad taking care of everything concerning the children, okay? But he wasn't participating at all in anything, not coming to school, not doing anything, just totally out, but paying school fees is his duty. He will tell you, me, I'm only going to do what? Pay school fees. Could not even talk to the children or what or anything, but pays the school fees, and he pays for a year in very expensive schools. So now, when my son was done with P7, unfortunately, he did not perform well. He got a 13, okay? Because of some reasons, we had thieves, they came in, stole everything, we lost notes, what, so like he was disorganized. He got a 13. On getting a 13, this man comes in to attack us very badly. He was supposed to take him to a school he thought he wanted. That was an international school, but he cancelled because of the 13. And then when he cancelled because of the 13, he chose to take away my boy from him. So we got a school, another better school, very expensive school. So he still paid the school fees. Now he says he wanted to take over and look after the boy. Yes, I handed over my son to him. After handing over my son to him, he began mistreating my boy. Okay, he tells him, you're not supposed to communicate with your mother or with the entire family of your mother. Yes, he began torturing him, telling him, you're just fat, you're just, all you want is to eat food. I don't know what's wrong with you. Even if he wakes up in the morning and my son makes breakfast for him, all you think about is food. All you think about is food. So like, I don't know what is wrong with you, what? So like me, I wouldn't go there, check on him because I wanted to give them an opportunity to bond. I wanted him to be with family. So like, unfortunately, the boy was just deteriorating behavior-wise, sick, feeling bad, and you could not allow him access any gadgets, which was okay. No watching TV, no watch. You could tell him, go wash your eyes, take breakfast and go to the reading room, okay? You could make him stay in the reading room the whole day. He's supposed to be in the reading room. That is all. He's not supposed to do anything but go in the reading room. He's supposed to cook for himself the meal. Good enough. Because I had boys, I trained them to cook. They know everything. So like, you could cook his food and eat his food. While for them, I have a stepdaughter who had finished and was working with the father of my son. For them, they could order for themselves food, their food, maybe KFC or Meda or what, anything. For the two of them, they leave him to eat his food. He has cooked alone. Why the Shamba boy also? Because the Shamba boy is not supposed to intervene with home issues. He does his work alone. He's not supposed to mingle with the family. So they normally order for their food. For him, he has to cook his food. Even when he cooks his food, the guy quarrels that his work is to eat food, cook. Why is he cooking the food? So now I totally got confused. This thing began affecting my boy's studying. Okay, he's 14. But when you see him, you will think he's 17 because he's huge. Okay, he's huge because he was so used to the mother. He studied in a day school, expensive day school, and I used to pick him because at his school it is parent, teacher, and the kid. So like, you have to take your school to school, no vans, you have to pick you. So I was always there
So
throughout.
sorry to interrupt you. So how would you like us to help you?
What I want you to help me with is that the problem that I've got now is that my boy has totally failed to study. His performance is very, 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 very poor. Okay.
Is he still living with the father?
No, I was forced to take him away from the father.
He's with you.
Yes,
Okay.
he's with me.
So now yours is a little deeper, and we have a counselor.
Yes.
Who Mr. Kaziba can connect you to, and you start the journey. But it's not too late to redeem him. He just went through it was traumatic. We could probably call that a shock, a cultural shock. You know, when you think you have this relationship and then you go and they treat you a certain way, and especially coming from his father. So there's trauma there. There's something to deal with. He needs to go through the healing process and he'll be restored. Don't worry. Just make sure you get the help.
Okay, the problem I have is with the school now. Okay, because he has gone through that, he has become aggressive. He disrespects the teachers, and it has
Yes. Now
it
it
has
goes
affected.
back. he needs help. He needs help. So you can organize for counseling sessions and the journey begins, because it's all that aggression is coming from somewhere. It will be projected. He has to project it to something. That is why. So yours is a bigger discussion. It's not something that we can just talk through now and finish. It's bigger. Yeah, but there is hope. He will be restored. Don't worry.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mrs. Okay. Okay, I think just let me look through the chat and see whether there is any other question. People were asking for the slides and recording. They're going to be uploaded and you'll be able to receive them in one of those WhatsApp groups for the parents. We shall share them, but also on any other platform. Okay, you're going to get those contacts and then you can be able to talk to them. So Mrs. Pamela, you'll put your contact such that parents can be able to reach on you.
Okay. Oh, and by the way, just a note, I do host children's camps, holiday camps, and I'll be hosting one in December. We do life skills training. We handle mental health, discovering their talents. It's quite resourceful. It will be hosted along Entebbe Road. So when you're able to, please sign up your child.
Okay. Yes, next time, can we be supported in positive disciplining skills for adult children?
Yes, yes, certainly, certainly.
Okay. Okay,
And
yeah.
maybe just to note, when you say positive disciplining, sometimes it's a case by case. We can't generalize. So I don't know whether it could be another meeting where children are involved or we have the children alone, because the feedback from children forms a good base for us to address with the parents. And then we bring them together. That would be my line of thought.
Okay. Yeah, that everything is going to be presented. So those who are asking, okay. I think Mrs. Pamela, add me to the parents list. What? Okay. I think someone is saying add my son already. I think let me pick that link for the parents group where we can share. Then those who are not yet there, you can join that group. That's why we are going to post the recording shortly. I think you'll give us about 10 to 20 minutes. It will be there. So that is the group link. Okay, another one is asking Mrs. Pamela, how I would like to know how I can balance academics and football in my boy child because school is becoming too demanding.
By asking what class is your child and what curriculum? Is it the national curriculum or the Ugandan curriculum? I mean the international curriculum, and which one? Because if they are...
Let me ask him maybe to elaborate. Mr. John, if you can unmute. Mr. John, are you able to unmute?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Mrs. Pamela, for the session. It has been of great importance. Some of us who are young mothers. So I'm Mrs. Byra. Yeah, actually, I'm just using his gadget, but I'm the one who has attended the session. So my son is in P6 and he likes football so much. So we have been taking him for soccer. But now, since he started when he was in P4, but now the school has become so demanding. So we are not getting enough time to take him for soccer, and he likes it so much. So and he's supposed to join boarding since now like academics is becoming so demanding. He's going to join boarding next year in P7. So I'm inquiring, how can I, as us as parents, how can we balance the two? Yeah, so that I was inquiring.
Now that he's in I get that he's doing the national curriculum. Of course, it's demanding.
Yes.
School days, you can't take him, but there are football programs that happen on Saturday. You can take him every Saturday morning so that he has something to look forward to and something to kill the stress on Saturday mornings. There are many soccer academies, so it depends on the size of your pocket and where you are taking him. You can make an arrangement so that every Saturday he goes. And P7, I don't know what kind of school it is, but knowing our curriculum, he might not be able to, maybe holiday time, so that the 2 weeks he comes back home. That is depending on which school. I don't know how long their holidays are. The 2 weeks he's at home, at least you have 3 days a week for him to go and do his football. And then, of course, now you need to start thinking that when he joins high school, which school are you going to take him to? Because obviously he's a football person. Look for schools that value sports. Number one, well, the one I know is St. Mary's Chitende. I don't know others, but there are other schools, obviously. There's Ndeje also, but some schools are more sporty than others. So start doing your homework now. But currently, the least you can do is work around his schedule. Saturday mornings are good enough. And even the holidays coming, December holidays, let him have a blast. And also prepare him mentally to know that, okay, now when you go to school, I mean P7, at this, when it is school time, you have to sacrifice. But if they don't study on Saturdays, please take him. Do take him.
Okay, thank you so much, Mrs. Pamela. I think we have exhausted some of the questions the parents had. I'm posting the link again. I'm posting the link again for those who have not yet received it, such that they can be able to receive it. Mrs. Sarah, you can check in your inbox of the chat, and then we shall be in position to get in contact with the counselor to help you further. Okay. Yes. Those who want their children to join the camp, you're going to get in touch with Mrs. Pamela, but also we shall be sharing all the information about that camp that will happen in December. Yes. Okay. Maybe Mrs. Pamela, you can give us the concluding remarks, and then we'll call off the session.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kaziba, for coordinating this. I know he is putting a lot of work. There's a lot of work that goes on in the background. And for you, the participants, thank you. It's been an honor and a privilege to have you listen to me today. God bless you and keep you. Bye. Have a nice day.
Okay. Bye, everyone. Okay. Oh. Okay, I think she's going to communicate. The communications will come in for the dates for the camp. Okay.